So are you flaming liquid or are you confident? I can't tell. So like it's smaller than people think.
Sure.
It is, because nowadays, I think...
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Not for Broadcast. Another episode here out of very sunny Riyadh. As you can tell, it is hot and bright here. We are on a break day right now, and that's why we're recording today, because playoffs finally starts. It's been almost 2 weeks of group stages. We had the play-in, we had the group stage, and we are finally here with all of our playoff teams. So, all right, before we continue, let's talk about today's sponsor, Battlesmith. It's a fresh take on RPGs, blending crafting with strategic combat and captivating story. You'll forge powerful gear, outfit your team, and lead your custom-built squad into battle. Managing a fantasy workshop and fielding heroes, that sounds familiar to us Dota players, right?
And if you're looking for a game to fill those queue times or cool down after an intense pub match, Battlesmiths is your perfect companion. What sets it apart is its depth. You need to carefully consider classes and their gear, unit placement, and when to use consumables. And the best part is that you can make meaningful progress in short bursts, which is perfect for those in-between match moments. Plus, Battlesmiths is not just about solo play. You can reign supreme in online PvP as well.
So there it is. Join Battlesmiths on Android, iOS, Mac, and PC to hammer out your destiny. And for our viewers, use code TundraCraft for an exclusive starter pack. Thank you, Battlesmiths, for sponsoring our show, and let's get back to it. Avery, did it go the way you expected it to?
Yep.
Everything went exactly as you
I think so.
thought.
I think if you check the predictions, they're all correct.
So Group A, we have Falcons, number one at a score of 9-5. Then we have Team Spirit, Gaming Gladiators, and OG, who all went 8-6. Aurora managed to get into the lower bracket with a score of 7-7, and LGD squeak it out ahead of Heroic and Blacklist as the other lower bracket team from Group A, which means Heroic and Blacklist got eliminated. Extremely close group, though. The bottom score, the difference between the bottom score and the top score was 4 games. Falcons 9-5, Heroic and Blacklist 5-9. That's a very close group stage.
I mean, you can say it's close, but they're out of here, so not close to them.
I mean, I'm just saying that I do wonder how Heroic or Blacklist would have done in the other group. That's all. If maybe one of them would have been able to squeak by, because a score of 5-9 does get you.
That doesn't matter. Like if you would have been if you sucked against this group and you were in the other group, you would have played a team from this group and got your ass beat anyway. Right? Like it doesn't even matter. You
would have gone one placement further.
I mean, that's true. You get
which is like not an insignificant amount of money. It's like $30,000 or something. Yeah, it's $30,000 to make it out. I mean,
it's 30,000 little matters, but outside of that, I don't know. It's like the same, If you're in the weak group, you have to play the strong group. If you're in the strong group, you should dominate the weak group. Like if you're bitching about it, that's on you, man.
Do you think that Group A is the stronger group? Most people, we agreed that Group A was the stronger group going into this because Team Spirit and Falcons were both on the same team. But after watching them play, I do not think that it is as clear that Group A is stronger than Group B.
I mean, Group A is what? Falcons, Spirit, OG.
Gaming Gladiators.
OG? Yeah, that group's way stronger.
Okay.
What are people smoking out here? It's not even close.
What do you mean people? Everyone is agreeing with you that Group A is stronger.
That group is going to shellac this other group. Except for Tundra. Who did top out Group B with a score of 11-3. Entity also got an 11-3, but I believe their head-to-head or Neustadtel or something ends up with Tundra. Yeah, Tundra 2-0'd Entity. So they had the same score, but head-to-head goes to the favor of Tundra. And then Liquid at a score of 9-5. And then Weibo Extreme Gaming with a score of 8-6. And then the lower bracket teams, PSG Quest and BetBoom. BetBoom got in with a score of 5-9, which is why I was talking about Heroic and Blacklist being 5-9 as well. Yeah, barely. Let's put an asterisk on that. Yeah. Barely got in.
Barely got in because Beast Ghost and Mouse both performed
pretty poorly. Mouse.
I think BB should have been eliminated, honestly. But there's somebody worse than them. That's fair. That's how she goes. See what they can do from here.
Do you think that BB team is going to get eliminated right away in playoffs?
Probably not. I'll probably squeak a few more wins out, but they are not in a good spot. Whatever the cause is, I think they know it too. They don't seem too upset about it. I don't know what that says, but maybe that means they'll win it all.
It does always kind of seem that they are just lethargic in their...
Yeah, I don't see any like anger or frustration when they're having a rough go. So that's a warning sign.
I mean, part of that is the one of their front man is Save, who every single time comes up to the interviews with a look like this. Yeah,
but even when they're playing, like on the cams and how they're interacting after wins and losses, it doesn't seem like they're phased. So maybe they're in a better mental state. I don't know, but I feel like there's also some sense of apathy or whatever, which is never a good sign. I could be reading wrong though. Who
knows? Group B. I mean, the fact that Tundra and Entity came out swinging, I think Entity continues to look very strong. I mean, those were two teams that we said might be able to squeak into the top 4, right? So they did pretty well for themselves. But you think Tundra is going to be the one team out of Group B that succeeds. Yep. You don't believe in Entity anymore?
Well, they got matchup against, right?
Well, we can talk about those matchups then.
Doesn't matter what I believe, Austin. It matters what hand they got dealt.
The hand that they got dealt is Team Falcons, number 1 seed, matchup against the number 4 seed, Weibo Gaming Extreme Gaming. I hate that name so much.
That's actually, I think, the hardest one to predict.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think Falcons are as strong as they looked in the past.
Yes.
Especially in a series where you can prep for them and ban specific heroes. I have not seen their strength lie in like hero diversity like it has in past tournaments.
They seem more exploitable in drafts rather than doing the exploiting.
Yes. So I think they're at a weak point if someone can take advantage of them. In theory, XG can, but they've been pretty hit or miss. But I'd actually probably favor XG on paper, even if I think Falcons are going to win that series. If that makes any sense.
So who are you predicting?
I think Falcons are going to win.
Okay.
But I think
Falcons are going to win.
I think probability-wise, it's actually XG favored.
Okay.
I just, for some reason, don't think they're going to take it.
Entity versus Gaming Gladiators is the next matchup.
Yeah, Gaming's going to demolish them.
Why do you think they're going to demolish Entity?
I don't think Entity I don't think they can like deal with these fast teams and just run them over.
Entity plays pretty fast themselves.
Yeah, but they're like the heroes they play are bad at getting run at. So they have to play the lanes better so they can run at the opponents and ball them. And I think they're just like slightly worse at gaming and doing that. So they're going to get balled first. They're just like, to me, a slightly slower version of gaming.
Okay.
I think gaming tends not to lose those matchups.
And gaming looks, I think, pretty good right now. And I think Gaming Gladiator, I was actually talking to Liquid about this. I talked to Insania. And I said that Gaming Gladiators, he said, who did you think would do better at this tournament, us or Gaming Gladiators? And I said that I think you are about even in that Gaming Gladiators, I think, has the higher ceiling, in that when what they do, if it's good for the meta, they are the absolute best at it, and therefore they're more likely to win the whole tournament. Whereas maybe Liquid is just more likely to do pretty good, more likely to be in some top 6, top 4 situation, but not the same height of ceiling.
So are you flaming Liquid or are you complimenting him? I can't tell.
Bit of both.
Okay, just be wishy-washy as usual.
I'm being honest.
All right.
Do you disagree with that analysis of them?
I mean, if every Underlord's buying pipe, if every offlaner is buying pipe and Underlord's in the meta, Gaming are going to get top 3. That's just how it works.
All right,
it's not a tough puzzle. It's there. At this point, they almost feel like a one-trick pony. They're just waiting for the patch to swing back in their favor, and they waited long enough, and now it's back.
It does feel like the patch is in their favor, and they seem to be cooking pretty well. Their play isn't like perfect, but I think it's that 90th percentile of what they can do. So
it definitely helps them. That's all I'm saying. Like it fixes a lot of the issues they were trying to solve and weren't really able to.
Team Spirit versus Liquid is the next matchup.
I mean, do I even need to tell you this one, man?
I think you assume that Team Spirit is going to just massively outskill Team Liquid.
Team Spirit's going to win the tournament. Enough said.
Okay.
Nothing against Liquid, but like I feel for anybody who's in Team Spirit's path.
Are they going to go all the way through upper bracket?
Yeah, it's just not even going to be close.
Okay, so you guys can all preemptively predict Spirit beats Liquid, and then they beat the winner of Tundra OG, and then they beat the winner.
The only way Spirits lose in a series tournament is if they go out the night before and get hammered or something.
Yeah. They did do their typical Spirit thing where they 1-1 most of the teams in the group, just like OG does.
Whatever, man.
Well, no, I'm saying that's what they did at TI 11, right?
They just that team gets bored, so they're gonna pick Yatoro, some garbage hero,
pick Phantom Assassin,
whatever.
And,
whatever. So unlucky for Liquid, bad draw.
Bad draw.
Don't actually think they look that bad. A surprise they got upper bracket, looking better than I thought.
Tundra Esports versus OG is the last upper bracket matchup.
Yeah, Tundra.
Damn, there was no waste of time there. You're not an OG believer?
I mean, I am. They look pretty good, but I think, again, they're in the more exploitable with certain bans targeted to what they've been relying on. Like, they have played a lot of games with Ari on Nyx or a Hoodwink. And what happens when you suddenly take this Nyx out and they can't play the map as well? What happens when you ban out the Chen that Seb has been playing, that he's been getting favorable trades against other people in the first phase with? Things like this, I think they're more exploitable than Tundra is, who's just more unpredictable and willing to play a lot wider variety of stuff that should help him in a BO3. And they've just been playing, I don't know, something about Tundra, they're just clicking right now. When a team's clicking, they're clicking,
So I have heard it described that both Tundra and Entity are kind of they have an idea. They're one of the two teams coming into this tournament. They have an idea, and they are just rocking that idea. They have their kind of signature heroes, and they are just going through with it, and it's working for them. So they're going to keep doing it. Do you feel like that? My feeling is always that a team like that usually has a cap in how far that they can go. They will go pretty far at a tournament, but I do not think that because eventually you're going to have to adapt, right? To the absolute best teams, they're going to counter you in some way, and you're going to have to adapt.
I mean, if the best teams suck. It's happening.
Do you think that's going to happen here? I think the field is pretty strong.
No, because Spirit's going to win it. So unfortunately, if you run into Spirit, you're probably screwed. Yeah, but you can always, maybe they have a bad day. You can definitely get second or third like that pretty reliably.
Okay, so I am following the previous Riyadh Masters and looking at so it looks like the top, if you drop down from the top, you stay at the top when you go down to lower bracket. So that means that Extreme Gaming would match up against Aurora in the lower bracket.
I guess so.
Prediction?
You're asking me to make predictions on things that we don't even know are true or not?
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to be able to get another podcast episode before those matches happen. So XG.
C is all on the way out, man.
Entity drops down. They face up against Bet Boom.
Entity.
Okay. Apologies if this is incorrect. I'm just working by the format from last year. Team Spirit versus Team Liquid. Since Spirit went on, so Liquid versus LGD.
Liquid.
For sure. And then OG dropped down to face PSG Quest. I believe OG was one of the many teams that you said PSG Quest could not beat, if I recall.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
So PSG Quest is not getting anywhere close to top 4.
There goes their hopes. Unlucky bracket. I mean, I said it was very bracket draw dependent. And unfortunately for them, every team in the upper bracket is basically European.
Yes.
So this is like a nightmare scenario for that team, I think.
Yes.
They would have liked to have seen a lot more Chinese or C teams in there. But, sometimes European Dota just absolutely dominates the whole event, and that's the only people you have left to play. And so, very tough road for them. But I also said Tundra was my other 4th place, so they're on track.
Okay. Well, I guess that way you guys can get your predictions in for the first 2 days. We should be able to get another episode in, some way midway through the playoffs.
Are there predictions for this? Is there like a compendium?
What's that?
What are you telling people to get their predictions in? For what?
We have built up you being this prediction guy.
But what are they predicting on? You make it sound like there's a compendium you're predicting in.
Well,
If you join my Discord, you can join my Discord.
Oh, now this guy's just
prediction
shilling his
competition.
own socials.
And
I put a link
otherwise,
right there.
you just predict for fun.
Uh-huh.
People like doing that. Some people predict for money. Not that we would advise that, of course, but some people do it.
Why don't you predict something? Are my predictions going to be more correct or more wrong?
I think they
Yes or
are
no?
more correct.
Wow, look at that, folks.
I agreed with most of your analysis.
That's bad.
I agreed.
Can I revise them?
I think Falcons, Gladiators.
So which one did you
Spirit.
disagree with?
I think OG has a better chance against Tundra than you give it, and then all the lower bracket matchups I agreed with. Wait, did you say Entity or Bedboom?
Entity.
Yeah, okay.
OG has a better shot.
I believe in Entity.
OG's got no shot in that series.
Why?
I don't know. I just felt like saying that. It's probably like 45-55, but
Question for the week. There it is. At Sneaky Ninja Troll. Do players and coaches divide most of the tournament winnings, or do they get smaller percentages because teams are paying them salaries? How are taxes determined? Example with Thompson. Will he be charged based on TI prize pools? Finland charges 40% tax from what I read. So being a player, let's start with what are player splits like? Let's start with how much does your get, since we already talked about some of this last episode. What is on average, what can we expect an org is getting out of tournament prize winnings?
it's varied over the years. There's been periods where it's more or less. There was a period in Dota where it was 0. And I would not be surprised if there's still some more Dota orgs out there, even big ones that take 0.
Okay.
But I would say generally now most orgs take 10%.
Okay.
But it's not going to be much higher than 10. It's not going to be lower than 5. Unless you're on a 0 cut contract, which happens, but then you're gonna get like lower salaries, right?
Sure.
It balances out. So.
And how much does a coach get?
Again, 5 to 10%. I would say most coaches, unless you are a really established coach or are like the coach captain, like a Zhao 8 or something. Then you're going to be more even with the players, 15, 16, whatever that and the cup ends up being.
Okay, so we've already got 10 to 15, maybe 20% being taken out of the prize pool for non-players. Does the manager ever get a cut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can be up to 5%. I haven't really heard of more than that.
Yeah, smaller percent. Analysts?
Yeah, but it's a lot rarer, I think. I think most analysts are on just like some flat salary.
Okay.
Maybe they have a cut that's dependent on like a top 3 placement on big LAN or something. That's 1 or 2% as a small bonus. I think that's pretty reasonable. But I don't think there's an analyst out there that's getting like 5+ or something.
Okay, so you can probably
maybe
expect...
like Jabs and Liquid has some good deal because he's been with them so long and it's like a 7th man, but on average probably not.
Okay, so you're talking about at that point in time, each player is getting 15 to 20%, 15 to 18% or something like that?
15 to 17.5%.
Yeah.
Depending on situation.
Okay, so that is the percent that they are getting out of the prize winnings just from their own cut, and then you've had to do taxes before.
Yeah. Depends where the tournament's held. You can get double taxed depending on where the tournament is.
Yep. That also happens with talent, by the way. You can get double taxed if your tournament organizer does not do a good job of...
But for most people, they're going to end up paying a lot of places have tax treaties. You're going to end up paying whatever the higher rate is, which mostly sucks for those guys that are from like Denmark or Sweden or wherever. Thompson was mentioned because those places have generally pretty high income tax rates, and it will count normally as an income tax. You can sometimes count it as like a prize winning. There are certain tax codes that have a alternate tax for like a prize winning or whatever, but
aren't they usually worse?
Yeah, they're usually worse. So
yeah.
But yeah, like those guys are. I think I remember talking to No Tail back in the day when he won like the first DI, and I think they might have got double tax, but I think he basically said he ended up paying 50 or 60%. in tax.
Yep. I remember the Alliance guys.
I'm not going to speak for him on that hard number, but like
Sure.
it can be that high, which is pretty brutal. Like spend your whole life to win that, and then it gets cut. You know, like let's say you win $10 million as a team, you get 15% of that, so you're taking 1.52 mil. You lose half of that to taxes, you're down to 750K. That's good, but like that's where snaking has that quote of like it's smaller than people think.
Sure.
It is, because nowadays, you know, I think that's what Snake said. Like he ended up that TI was around 10 or 11 million, and I think he probably had higher cuts, but ended up taking around a little under $1 million or something.
Yep.
Obviously, still life changing money. He's not sad about it, but it's not like you just get like, oh, $3 million in my account, cool. So there's a lot of stuff there, but you can also, I know a lot of American players have basically an LLC set up, and they'll pay themselves through a corporation, which can.
So like I have an S corp, so
Yep.
I charge, my business charges the tournament organizer, my business gets paid, and then I pay myself through my business, which means that, you know, if I want to pay myself $4,000, or if I pay myself $4,000, I'm only actually getting like $2,000 after, you know, like all the taxes and all that sort of thing. So it's a very similar situation, players and talent. You're a freelancer, and you're gonna get hit by taxes real hard. So you can probably expect at least 50% of that money just gone.
I wouldn't say 50. I think most people pay lower than that.
Sure.
Like I think most people who work out of the U.S. are going to pay around 30% on average, income wise. Obviously, there's other taxes and stuff. So I'm not saying that's the only thing you're paying, but I don't think it's
I live in California, so I got state taxes
of course
as well. Yeah.
But I don't think it's as high as like Denmark or Sweden.
No.
It's very rough for those guys.
Yeah, which is why you see sometimes players or talent will move to different countries to try and get the best of it. I remember some CS talent moving to like Malta, for example, try and
Shady stuff.
dodge some taxes,
Shady stuff.
try and build up some money.
For the FBI that's listening, I pay all my tax every year.
The FBI?
For the IRS. For the FBI that's listening, Austin does not consider himself a sovereign citizen of the United States.
Oh, no.
Can edit that out. It's okay. You won't get flagged.
All right. That's it for another episode of Not for Broadcast. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys midway through playoffs for more. Goodbye.